All right, go again, Parker.
Oh, dude, I was just saying, I was really excited and pretty surprised to hear that Matthew Stafford really is going to be leaving Detroit. And it's like,
Yeah,
it's official. Like, both sides are on board with it. I didn't think they would actually let him go, to be honest. And I think it's actually a bad move for them. I mean, I guess if Matt Stafford wanted out, there's not much they could do about it, probably. If he's going to like hold out over it, but I don't know. Were you guys surprised to hear that?
I actually wasn't that surprised. It is a bad move for Detroit, but they're stuck in a rut and they got lots of other things to figure out. And if things are bad between them and Matt Stafford, you might as well just let him go and just start rebuilding because you've fired your head coach. You don't have a lot of assets on your team, so it's just like, well, yeah, Matt Stafford has a lot in the tank, but they haven't won a playoff game with him. So it's
Yeah.
obviously not working. So just let him go and just rebuild. It's time to really, really rebuild.
Yeah, from scratch. Like they don't got much of anything
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
yeah. There's really nothing that they have. So
I
Lots of spec.
I
Go ahead.
completely understand Matt Stafford wanting to do it though, because I think he is definitely an above average quarterback, and if he gets on another team with a good system and just a good, better, what's the word I'm looking for, like culture, I think he will win playoff games. And what does Matt Stafford's career have to say for him right now? Not much, but I think he's capable of a lot. But I have a question. How I think the Detroit Lions, if Matt is gone, unless they make some major moves, will be the New York Jets of the 2021/2022 season.
Yeah, it's hard to say they won't be because they're not exactly in like a prime position to take one of the better quarterbacks in the draft. And even if they do, everyone outside of Trevor Lawrence is going to be a project to some degree. And they don't have, like we talked about just now, they don't have a roster that can like hide or mask those things. If anything, they have one of the worst rosters in the league. So yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's going to be a new head coach. So yeah, I think that's a good call. I can't think of any teams that are going to be in a much worse place besides maybe the Texans, depending on how they come out of all this, because losing Deshaun for them is also rough. Although I think their roster is probably a little better off than Detroit, but I don't
yeah,
know.
It is
yeah,
it's pretty crazy to see how quickly teams can go through their cycles, because the Texans, even just last year and the year before, were very good contenders. I remember when the Seahawks played them last year, I think. No, it was 2 years ago, when Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson just had an absolute shootout. And I don't know. I mean, that Texans team was good and scary, and it was a threat, to where this year it's something different, man. And it's just one major piece gone. It's crazy how one player can have, even not a quarterback, can have so much influence on a team.
Yeah, man, it's true. Lots of people, apparently Deshaun came out and said, or maybe it's just insider sources saying that he wants to go to the Jets, which I
yeah,
was like, and you know me, I'm just looking for him to be on the Broncos, and I already know that's probably not going to happen. And we talked about it too long because it's not going to happen anyway. But anyway, but but to me, I'm like, why would you want to go to the Jets? He says his reasoning is because he likes the coach Salah from the 49ers, but I mean that's about all you get. I mean the Jets are going to have to trade a lot to get him, which is going to stop them from being able to fill the pieces that he's going to need around him. So, I mean, aside from coach, which, first of all, the coaching situation in Houston's not even decided yet. They're still shopping.
Yeah.
I don't see that feels like a lateral move or a downgrade. So I'm kind of surprised that Deshaun's interested in that.
Well, if you're the Texans, you'd rather him go to the Jets than the Dolphins,
Mhm.
because I think Deshaun, if I read it right, I think I just saw the article, but I didn't read it. But he had the Jets number one, Jets or Dolphins number two, and then just like he's like, here's my preferences in order, and I'm like, okay. But
Yeah.
if I'm the Texans, you can get more out of the Jets. The Jets have more picks. The Jets are not an immediate threat. So if you're like, all right, if we're gonna lose you, it may as well be the Jets.
I guess that's assuming you'd rather have, one of the non-Trevor Lawrence quarterbacks in the draft rather than Tua Tagovailoa, I suppose.
Yeah, I there's that, but I mean, I don't know, because Tua is only a year more experience than anything they're going to get in the draft, and so, and he's only played 8 more NFL games or however many it was than them, so you're getting basically a rookie anyway if you trade for Tua.
That's true, but I would contend, and maybe after the first year, I mean, I'm still surprised that lots of people seem so down on Tua, including you to some degree. But Tua, a couple years it was tank for Tua. He was the Trevor Lawrence, like the surefire, like obvious quarterback to get. And then Joe Burrow kind of emerged and like took that a little bit, but before that, Tua was as established as anyone. So I'm surprised. I don't think, I mean, any of the other quarterbacks. You have to remind me. I mean, there's the one out of BYU that everyone thinks is the second best. What's his name again?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, which, like, yeah, he could be good, but I don't feel like he's. I don't know. And again, I don't watch a lot of college football. I'm not a huge NCAA dude, so I get most of my information from scouts and their articles. But it sounds like he's not necessarily anyone's consensus like going to be a franchise guy for sure. He's more of a high upside risk sort of quarterback. You know what I mean? Whereas Tua was more, he's a franchise guy for someone. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question whether the Texans would rather have what the Dolphins would offer or the Jets' potential of all these picks.
One thing, okay, the Deshaun Watson move. The reason he wants to leave is he wants to win. He just got a huge contract. I doubt he's really making any moves for greed. He wants to go to a team that is going to get him into the playoffs and potentially get him Super Bowls. Am I wrong?
Well, I'm not so sure. Honestly, I mean, if we're really breaking down why he's leaving, it feels like he's doing it because he wants respect. Because he doesn't even have a problem. Because the straw that broke the camel's back was they hired a general manager without him being in the room. And he didn't even say like he has a problem with the general manager or he thinks he's going to be not good at his job. He just wanted to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that is his number one priority. I mean, obviously every player wants to win, but I mean, I don't know if it's the number one reason why he's seeking a trade, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the reason he's seeking a trade. Is about the lack of respect with the Texans. But if he's searching for another team, like he knows the Texans are pretty far back, and so he'd rather go to a team. You'd think that he'd want to win Super Bowls, but if the Jets are his number one priority, then obviously it's not really about that. But I mean, if I'm Deshaun Watson, like Thomas, I think what you're leading into is like I want to go to a team where I can contend and prove that I'm as good as Patrick Mahomes in the AFC.
Yeah. Well, and that's the point I'm trying to make. If he just wants respect, the Jets is a good place to go because he's going to come in as like their savior, and they'll listen to him and they'll want to do what he wants and they'll build a team around him. But it's not like you're gonna flip a record of, what was it, 1-16 to most likely even like a winning record in a year, maybe even not even 2 years. So it's like, it's either he just wants respect or he needs to be willing to take maybe a pay cut to go to a team and a culture that can already has some weapons for him and already can and has the potential to get him into the playoffs.
Well, I don't know if money is even any sort of factor because his contract is inked. Like that's not whichever team trades for him, they're taking the contract and they're paying him his money. That's done. So yeah, I don't know. I'm more confused why Dolphins wouldn't be your number one destination. Like that's a plug and play. You're in the mix in 2021. Like you're a playoff. They're already playoff contenders without you. With Deshaun, I think they're definitely like they're fighting the Bills for winning that division. So it feels like he wants to. He wants to be like the Baker Mayfield, like the guy who comes in and saves football for a city that has never seen success in a long, long time. Like that's the best, like I guess, narrative I can grasp out of this. It's like if you want to go to the Jets, it's because you want people to see you turn like the suckiest team into like a really good team, and then that's all on you. I guess that's the best, and I guess he does like the coach for what it's worth.
Yeah, and if he likes the coach, that might be just it. He just wants to go to work and enjoy his job and have a relationship. I was actually thinking that maybe his deterrence for going to Miami is the relationship Brian Flores has with Tua and how that situation was treated. And he was just like, well, I don't know if, they're kind of wishy-washy on that. It might not be the strongest relationship he could have with his head coach. And if you don't have a strong relationship with your head coach, you're not going to enjoy going to practice and enjoy playing football. And I think he's just looking to have fun playing football again.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's pretty crazy to see these possible moving pieces. Like, it's not something you see in a normal offseason in the NFL, such prolific quarterbacks that are going to be moving.
We've got a lot of them. Who do we have? We have Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson.
I mean, those are
the two big ones. But
Dak is potentially a free agent. There's no ink signed yet, so there's a lot of rumor mill going around. But I'm sure he gets re-signed. But he's still a free agent this year. So as of right now,
we also have Drew Brees. I'm thinking most likely will retire. Same thing. He hasn't said anything, but it's definitely looked like it could be that. So as Phillip Rivers retires, I saw an article that said Matt Stafford was interested in the Colts.
Because did Phillip retire since last podcast? I can't remember.
He has officially retired. Phillip Rivers has retired.
I just can't remember if we talked about it last time or not.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
I think that was since then. Yeah. Well, that's news. I mean, feels right.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Definitely.
I've heard he might go on the Monday Night Crew and become commentator, which would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
That would be,
Bring some of his banter to the studio. Let all of us hear it. But then we also have teams like the 49ers.
That's right. They might be dealing Jimmy.
They might be dealing Jimmy. That's definitely a possibility. There's going to be Cam Newton. There's going to be something with the Jets. I don't think I don't know. It's looking more and more like Sam Darnold might not be on the Jets next year, or at least their starting quarterback. There's a lot. The quarterback position this year is going to be a different league next year as far as quarterbacks and where they are.
Now, with that, I'm telling you guys, though, I mean, like I said, plugging Deshaun Watson in any roster is really enticing. But if you're the Jets and say to get Deshaun, you have to give up. What do they have? I think they have 2 first-round picks this year, and they obviously have Sam Darnold. It's not easy for me to pick from the GM in New York to say like trade Sam Darnold, who still shows promise, and those picks, and then you get Deshaun, but you don't have the stuff to improve your roster with. I don't know. Is that an automatic decision? Like, of course you do it, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how important they think having the franchise quarterback is. Because I mean, you can build a roster, and then once you build the roster, the stronger the roster gets in years to come, the less likely they're going to have a high draft pick because the roster is at least good enough to make up for bad quarterback play for a while. And so it's kind of a debate on whether or not is it good to get your franchise quarterback first and then build around him, or build around and then be able to plug in a guy straight from college and just have it work right away.
Well, what if Sam is still the guy, is what I'm saying. What if,
Yeah.
I mean, wait, Sam has never had any chance to prove himself in New York, man. Give me a break. Taking Adam Gase even out of it, he's never had weapons. He's never had anything in New York, is what I'm saying.
It's true.
He could still be, for all we know, great. I mean, it's just unknown to me as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think I think the biggest criticism people have about Sam Darnold is he makes mistakes. He makes, and it's not even an insane amount of mistakes. It's just some crucial ones here and there. But to have a young quarterback come in and immediately say, you need to carry this team. You are by far the best player on this team. Go win games for us. There's a lot more opportunity to make mistakes. There's a lot more exposure of the quarterback, and so much relies on him. Where if he were to go somewhere else, or just to have a team even there around him that takes some of the pressure off, I think he's going to be an incredible quarterback. Because that's the thing, he makes mistakes. I've seen some amazing highlights of Sam Darnold and what he can do. He's got a great arm. He's very mobile. I think he's the guy, whether it's there or somewhere else. In my opinion, I just want what's best for him because I respect him as a player. I think he deserves to have a good team because he will do great things. But I just don't know if the Jets... I think Salah is honestly one of the best moves they could have made as far as coaching. Besides like Urban Meyer, but I think no one was going to get Urban besides Jacksonville with that first round pick. But so I think Salah will do great things in New York. It takes time.
It does. But another quarterback whose name is floated as will he stay or go is Jared Goff. He's in the conversations. I don't see him leaving because who the heck are the Rams going to get? That's better than Goff. And you know me, I don't like Goff, but they're not in a position to get anyone unless they make some sort of trade.
You got to move up quite a bit. Yeah.
Would you guys rather?
No.
Oh no, he froze.
Oh no.
Rather have. What, am I still frozen?
You're unfrozen.
You just unfroze. You just unfroze.
Oh, that's weird because you guys weren't frozen saying that I was frozen. Anyway, did you have a question? I said, would you guys rather have Goff or Garoppolo as your guy?
Oh, jeez. Man. Oh, man.
I think
I think I'd rather have Goff.
They're actually pretty similar quarterbacks.
They have a similar Super Bowl story.
Yeah, they've both been to the Super Bowl, but not because of their performance. They both had stacked teams around them, and they've been productive with those teams, but they're both the same kind of player, scared to get tackled, not super patient in the pocket. Good, decent game managers, but not playmakers.
I'll give you 2 reasons why I think I'd rather have Goff than Garoppolo. One is the season that the Rams went to the Super Bowl versus the season that the 49ers went to the Super Bowl. Goff was having a much better season than Garoppolo was. Goff looked promising at the time. He's kind of gone the way of Carson Wentz, but he was having a pretty darn good season. And Garoppolo the whole time was just managing the game even more than Goff was on their Super Bowl run team.
That's true. That's a
and
really
then
good point.
The second reason is, even though Goff hurt his thumb towards the end, Garoppolo's hurt way more often than Goff. And so I get at least my starting quarterback healthy to play most games, whereas Garoppolo, I'm like, I've got 8 games with you and 8 games without you.
Yeah.
So there's a more reliable starting quarterback going in every game. And so those are my 2 reasons why I think I'd rather have Goff than Garoppolo.
I'll add one more reason. Last year in the Super Bowl, 49ers, Chiefs won. I think it was like the third quarter. There was a play where, well, there were a couple plays that game that were pretty hilarious. But there was pretty much the whole second half, starting in the third quarter, you could tell Garoppolo was just scared. His facial expressions and stuff, like he was zoning out with terror. And it didn't look good. Like you could really tell in the way he looked, the way he played, like he was kind of faltering under the pressure of trying to win the game in the second half kind of thing. But then there was also that pass chuck lob thing. You guys remember there were a lot of memes about it where it was just like
get his eyes closed and threw it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that live. Parker was at my house. And
Yeah. I remember that.
So I just like, I'll never forget that. And that is Jimmy Garoppolo to me. So as much as I don't like Jared Goff, at least he's not that much of a sissy.
You guys sold me. Yeah. Goff. I would take Goff over Garoppolo, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like either of them right now are on the path to being long-term solutions on either of their teams.
Wait, Parker, would you rather have Jared Goff or
Don't ask. You can't remember his name, can you?
I'm thinking about it.
Drew Lock.
Thank you. Would you rather have Jared Goff or Drew Lock for the Broncos next year?
Oh man, dude. I would rather have Drew Lock because at least I think there's maybe a better chance that there's still, yet to be seen what Drew Lock is fully capable of. Whereas I don't know, maybe it's my own bias. I feel like at this point I've seen Goff's highs and lows and where he tends to be. So I think I would stick with Lock, but I don't want to stick with Lock because I don't think it's a great thing. But it's possible. Who knows? Maybe he just becomes Mahomes next year. Who knows, man?
I just really think if he stopped dancing, he'd probably be like 10% better at
You
football.
really hate the dancing. I actually kind of like the dancing, dude. It's like so cringy that it's like I kind of like it. You know what I mean?
Dude's just happy to be there, man.
Yeah, man. Dude, he makes me feel like I can dance. He makes everyone feel like they can dance. But it's bad. Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, like I said, we talked about the Broncos too long. Everyone thinks we think Broncos are actually getting someone. Look, all I'm saying is no one is even putting the Broncos on their lists hardly because the Broncos never go get the guy. Look, we got a new general manager. We need to make a change. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos go hard on either Stafford or Watson. Like I would not be surprised if they're aggressive.
We'll see, man.
So that's all.
We'll see.
They should be. But I mean, to say they never get the guy, they got Case Keenum after his prime season.
That's
Joe
what
Flacco,
I'm saying.
Super Bowl winning quarterback, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, they always get the discount Walmart brand top quarterback. Like they're gonna see if we're talking about the Broncos. I know they would be eyeing Carson Wentz right now, and they'd be like, dude, everyone thinks this guy sucks. We're gonna get that guy, dude. He's gonna be it. No, dude. One thing I'll say is the last surefire free agent, Peyton Manning. Like I don't know when's the last time you've had any quarterback you could get that's as more sure as Peyton Manning. I think Tom Brady, yeah, I guess, but I feel like Tom Brady
just the same thing happening.
A little bit, yeah. But I feel like the quarterbacks going around now, Deshaun, Matt Stafford, they're about as surefire as you can hope for in a quarterback since these sort of names. So
yeah.
So we'll see what happens. That's all I'm gonna say. Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, this conversation can also lead us into the games, I guess, because there's another quarterback that people are freaking out over his words about. Aaron Rodgers is unsure of his future. That's all he said. He didn't say with the Packers, but he said people's futures are in question. And
people love to freak out over what Aaron Rodgers say, don't they? They do.
But so whether that there's any merit to that happening, him being on the open market or not, or getting traded is moot. But until something happens. But
now,
what do you guys think of that game?
Well, real quick before we get to the game, while we're on that topic, I would have brought that up more. But I was literally just listening to the Pat McAfee show, and Aaron went on there today because as he's done like every week, and he, to the best of how it sounded to me, he seemed to kind of dispel some of the rumors. He's like, at this point, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be here next year, but he was kind of saying that you never know in the league. So I don't know. Everyone did freak out, and man, if Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun, and Stafford were on the move, dude, there's going to be winners and losers to be had.
One of them would be likely to end up in Denver, right?
One of them's got to. No, definitely not. But anyway, the game. Yeah. So we're talking about the Packers Buccaneers, huh? I think we all three got this one wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
We did get this one wrong.
Well, I don't think no one thought it was going to turn out that way, except for maybe a few of the Buccaneers players. Probably not even all the Buccaneers players.
Tom Brady definitely thought it would turn out the way it did.
And that's why he wins lots of games. But it's just, watching the Packers the week before and then this week, it was different. It was weird. It's almost like they didn't seem prepared, or they didn't have a very good game plan. Or if they did, it wasn't being executed very well at all.
Yeah, I should have kind of stuck to my narrative I had with the Saints. Or no, I said the Saints are the Saints. They do what they do in the playoffs. The Packers, they have their thing too.
It's always not in the NFC Championship.
And that's part of it. But also, the Packers always have their foil every season. And remember, it was the Rams. Was it last year, the year before, where the Rams whooped them good in the regular season, and then they took him out of the playoffs as well. Oh, no, sorry. It was the 49ers,
last year.
Yeah,
49ers
I'm getting them confused with another team in their division. It was the 49ers. They lost in the regular season pretty handedly, then they lost in the playoffs. This year's the same thing. The Buccaneers was that loss on the regular season. Like, that was the Packers' big loss. They repeat again in the playoffs, they lose. And I don't know. I thought about that going into it, and we talked about, obviously, the fact that that was the game to look to. I just thought the Packers were on such a hot streak and doing so good it wouldn't bother them. But it seems that there's something, if history is anything, like when they have the team that kind of gets the better of them, that team has their number. Like those teams seem to just figure out the Packers, and they beat them multiple times in the year.
This was different, though, in the way they lost in other NFC Championship games. When they lost to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, the game was over in the second quarter, and they didn't really have much of a chance to win after that. They still could have. They could have managed to come back. The comebacks have been like, we've seen comebacks in the playoffs like that, but they didn't. But it was pretty much over in the second quarter. It was like Browns Steelers type thing going on, and then the same thing happened a few years earlier when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl. They played Green Bay, went to Atlanta, and the game by the third quarter, like the Packers had just quit. They were just running the score up on them, and it was over. This game, the Packers had plenty of chances to win. It was never out of their reach at any point in the game, and they just did not execute in the fourth quarter. And Tom Brady was giving them gifts. He's like, "Here,
absolutely.
I'm not going to score. Here, have the ball back."
Yeah,
And,
what did he throw? 2 picks in that game? I think
there were
he
three
threw three
total.
picks, and I think he threw them.
Three.
He might have thrown them all in the second half. At
Yeah.
least 2 of them were in the
Two
second
of them were in
half.
the fourth quarter, though, were they not?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think and
the
Packers had plenty of chances to score and win, and they didn't. And so that was a different way of losing for them, and I'm surprised that they were not able to convert any of those 3 chances in the fourth quarter. 2 of them went 3 and out. Like, they didn't even get a first down.
Super uncharacteristic of the Packers, especially, at the end of the game. Lots of people want to talk about not going for the touchdown and settling for the field goal on their second to last possession. Actually, personally, I didn't mind it when I watched it. They were struggling to get down the field. Points were tough to come by, and they had a long ways to go on that fourth down. So I thought kicking it was fine, but I was just shocked. Like you said, time and time again in the second half, especially, they had their chances and didn't make it happen. But I thought for sure on that last drive, I thought in normal Aaron Rodgers fashion, kind of like, Packers versus Cowboys a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be Aaron Rodgers gets the ball back with a chance to win the game. You know what's going to happen. Like, give me a break. Like, it happens every time. Not this time. Like, they just could not get it together. I was surprised. And I don't think you can blame, the pass interference call that people want to say, well, they're letting them go back and forth.
Yeah.
There might be some truth to that, but it's, that one PI call happened to be extremely obvious from the ref's point of view. Like,
his jersey was stretched out pretty far. So.
Yeah, I mean, even if it wasn't as impactful, it's just the way you did it was so obvious. Like, you have to call that. If they didn't call that, the outcry would be far worse from Buccaneers fans if they ended up winning, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then even if they got the ball back, who knows if they would have scored? They had so many chances. It was Aaron Rodgers was forcing balls. I'd never seen him force balls like that before, where into double coverage. He usually can find the open guy. He likes to pad his stats, find the wide open guy, get at least complete the pass. But here he was just forcing passes, and they look bad forcing it to Devontae Adams when Lazard was wide open, and it was weird.
I think the big thing is the Packers aren't used, especially this season, they were not used to playing from behind. Not at all. I think there's only a few games where they spent a considerable amount of time behind. And that's kind of what it is. That's kind of what I sensed watching it, is Aaron wanted to catch up as quickly as possible. He wanted the lead, and he was forcing awkward plays. One thing too is the Bucs defensive line and linebackers have the Packers offensive line figured out. I mean, most of Aaron Rodgers' sacks this season came from 2 games, both games against the Bucs, and that did not help. So, Aaron had a very frustrating game, And when Aaron has frustrating games, they usually don't turn out very well. I agree with Parker, though. The field goal, at that point, I think there were 4 minutes left in the game. It was, you need to score now. If they went for it on 4th down and didn't get points on the board, the game was over. So you might as well play it safe, get your 3 points now, and then set yourself up for 6 or 7 later on, hopefully in a better situation. So, I think people that are criticizing that don't understand football well enough or just aren't looking close enough. But they lost that.
I guess I don't, because I don't agree with that at all.
What do you think they do?
Here's the thing, okay? Even if they don't get the 2-point conversion, they still scored 6 points, and they're down by 2. And all they have to do is kick a field goal when they get the ball back to win, rather than a touchdown. And
yeah, but that's the thing. A
you got to
field
give
goal
yourself as many
has to be
opportunities to
scored
win as you possibly can. There is no guarantee that they'll score, and even if they don't, they're still down by 8. It's still one score. They can score the touchdown, 2-point conversion. You have to make the 2-point conversion either way. But you can eliminate the 2-point conversion if you score 6 and you miss the 2-point conversion. And if you, the same thing has to happen. You get the ball back. You still have 4 timeouts because it's going to happen under the 2 minutes anyway. You get the ball back, and all you have to do is kick a field goal now to win, rather than score a touchdown.
Yeah,
I see the point you're trying to make. The way I look at it is, well, I think the way they were looking at it is, all right, we need a touchdown and at least a field goal to win. So let's take our field goal before the touchdown kind of thing. Where, yeah, if they had kind of some bigger balls, they probably would have just gone for the score and eliminated, the desperation in the first place. I see their thought process. I just don't think they foresaw the fact that they were gonna not get the ball back.
That's why you can't foresee that kind of thing. What if they do get the first down? But at least you've given yourself a chance to maybe have tied the game, so that it wouldn't matter if they convert the first down, and you can go into overtime. But they didn't give themselves a chance to even have overtime happen. You got to give your guys as many You got to have as many chances to score as you possibly can.
Yeah. I think the big thing though is if they went for it and missed, it's basically game over.
I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, no, they're still down 8. They're still down 1 score. Either way, no matter what.
It's true, and I definitely get it. And I've even heard Matt LaFleur say he kind of regrets it. But again, the problem I have is it was not a gimme touchdown. It was like 4th and 7 or something. It was like, and they were having a struggle. So to me, watching it didn't feel like they had the momentum. I really feel like they would have turned it over on downs there, more than likely.
And even if they did, so what?
And that's the issue right there. They lacked confidence in themselves. So
I mean, and if you're Matt LaFleur and you're saying, look, I'm trusting my defense right now. I'm trusting that my defense can make a play, and then we can go finish this. Guess what? Matt LaFleur's bet actually worked. Like, his defense gave them a chance. The problem is, and here's the matter of it all. I don't think whatever he chose would have worked, because the problem was the offense wasn't working. If the offense isn't working, they probably aren't likely to get the touchdown in that situation, just like they were not able to even move the ball down the field when they had a chance to win the game. So I don't know. I feel like it was a tough call. Both sides have merit, but in the end, if you can't move the ball, you can't move the ball. It doesn't matter where you are.
Well, yeah. If they can't score a touchdown, whether that possession or the next possession when they get the ball back, it doesn't matter. They don't deserve to win anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to give as many chances as you can to score the big points, because there's more pressure next time when you don't have momentum to score a touchdown the next time. And it's easier to kick a field goal under pressure than it is to score a touchdown the second time you get the ball. But either way, they have to score twice to win, so it doesn't really matter.
You're right.
Yeah. In the end, I think we really should just give a lot of credit to the Bucs and Tom Brady, because they came in with a game plan, determined. And I almost feel like, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I was kind of sleeping on the Bucs. I honestly have been sleeping on the Bucs since like week 11. I knew they were good, but I didn't think they would make it that far in the playoffs. But man, I was wrong.
I don't know what to. I don't know what to say. Even still, the Bucks are in the playoffs. I mean, the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's there, but it feels like they played every team at their worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Packers, and credit has to be given to their defense for that, of course. That obviously,
Oh yeah,
but
absolutely.
but at the same time, it doesn't feel like the kind of obvious defensive showing that clearly you see the defense is just controlling the game. If anything, maybe it is the defense, but it's a little more subtle where it's just making the offense look bad, because that's what it feels like to me more than anything. Like Austin was saying, Aaron Rodgers is forcing balls, and the problem is, and here's why I can't give all the credit to the Buccaneers defense. Like you pointed out, there was obvious wide open players on a lot of these plays. I think I know the player you're talking about, where Alan Lazard was just running straight down the field, and Aaron Rodgers never looked at him, and he was wide open. And that's not even talking about Drew Brees and all how bad his game was. But the Buccaneers seem, to some degree, it's definitely they're playing good, they're playing sound football, but there's a little bit of luck involved. That's how it feels.
A little bit.
I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
But here's something that we talked about with the Bucs Saints game, was to not give Brady credit for beating the Saints, because Drew Brees threw 3 interceptions and gave him a lot of chances to win. Tom Brady gave Aaron Rodgers ample opportunities, the same opportunities that Tom was given the last game, and Aaron could not take advantage. And I think you got to give Brady credit that even though he didn't have a great game, he threw as many interceptions as he did touchdowns, but he still, when it mattered, scored the points. He was able to convert that 4th down before the half and score the touchdown. You know, and that was a lot farther down the field than Aaron Rodgers was. Aaron Rodgers on the 8 on 4th down, can't score. And
no, that's what I'm talking about, though. Playing teams at your worst. The defense on the end of the second quarter play. Are you kidding me? You're not going to do prevent defense on a play like that, and then they're playing man coverage and they score a touchdown. That's what I'm talking about. How does that even happen? That was so stupid.
It was a weird game. It was a weird game, and the outcome of it is Tom Brady is going to his 10th Super Bowl.
That's the matter of it. Tom Brady has won 10 AFC Championship games. Aaron Rodgers has won 1, and and so the guy that wins championship games won the championship game. The guy that loses them lost it, and it comes down to that.
You feel good saying that, don't you? I know you don't like him.
Tom Brady, you threw 3 interceptions, man. But
yeah,
you won. It can't be a coincidence that this stuff is happening.
Yeah. No one's that. Well, I don't know. Maybe Tom Brady is the one who is that lucky, man. I need to stop myself.
There are people that exist that are that lucky. I know people that are so freaking lucky, and Tom Brady does seem like one of those people.
But one of those people, he would have to be the one. Know someone more lucky than winning that many games in the NFL.
So the skill is obviously involved, though. So there's
you're right.
You can't deny that the skill is there.
No, you're right.
Tom works harder than 99% of NFL players.
Yeah.
Does this at all kind of settle the argument of Brady Belichick? Is Bill Belichick officially trash now?
I wouldn't say that.
He's not trash, but I don't know how any one season could further just settle the argument.
Yeah.
I mean, if any of the things that didn't happen, for example, if the Patriots were still good, if they made the playoffs and they're still contenders, or if Tom Brady, if he misses the playoffs or, just doesn't go to the Super Bowl like he always does, then it's a little more wide open. But literally, what could be settling the argument, whatever could have happened has happened. Tom Brady is flourishing. Patriots are not. So it certainly looks like Tom Brady, in fact, was the system in New England.
If there was a way to kill faith in Bill Belichick, it was this season. Like you said, if anything went different, there'd still be a kind of a question. But now, like, players watching that, with how rigid and hard Bill Belichick is on players and not as pro player, like, it'll make it harder for players to want to play for Bill Belichick because they're like, hey, wait a minute, it was all Tom. Like, we can't buy into the Patriot way because the Patriot way was actually Tom's way and not Bill's way. And so this was actually the worst thing that could have happened to Bill Belichick. Like, if he went 7-9 like he did this year, and Brady, like, let's say, lost in the wild card round or the divisional round, because he was probably going to win that wild card game, but lost in the divisional round. Like, there's still people that I think could at least, buy in to the Patriot way, just because, okay, Tom's on a stacked team and was able to take him to the divisional round. Okay, we can understand that. And it's a down year. A lot of players opted out for the Patriots, and, Cam didn't have a great year. So we can, maybe we can still buy into this Patriot way, but it's going to be really hard now for players to want to buy into that system, whatever it is.
I absolutely agree. That's a really good point. It doesn't look good for Bill and the Patriots. Now it feels like they sided with the wrong side. It was kind of, you pick Tom or Bill. It was kind of how it felt like at the end. And they'd previously gone with Tom over the Garoppolo thing, and then they were like, all right, we're going to stick with Bill and let Tom go, and they're eating crow now. Like,
well, I mean, like, are you going to get rid of Bill for Tom, though?
Yeah, if you could get one more Super Bowl, if you thought that was a possibility, there's no coach that's worth even one Lombardi trophy.
Okay. Well, hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight is 2020, but you know what? If you want to talk about hindsight, and this is, I guess, Tom Brady's 43. Lots of us questioned him, but you know what? Every time you question Tom Brady, this is what he does.
Yeah.
So it's not like Tom Brady came out of nowhere and like did this. Like, this is what he's been doing for the past 2 decades. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd have believed Bill would be successful. I'm hiring doubt just because of what I was saying about Tom Brady going to the Super Bowl. There are 4 NFL franchises that haven't even been to a Super Bowl, let alone won one. And Tom Brady has won 6 and is now going to 10. One player.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too. Like, I know there's people, and look, if I wasn't so fully convinced at this point, I would be one of the people saying like, well, it's not just Tom. Obviously, there's a whole team, which is all true. But one thing you can't take away is last 3 years, and especially, last year is the most obvious because not much has changed besides adding Tom Brady, switching Jameis Winston for Tom Brady. You go from what the Buccaneers were last year, missing the playoffs, to now being in the Super Bowl with basically that one thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, you added some other pieces, but let's be honest, no one is making that difference besides Tom Brady. So to me, that's unbelievable. Like, how can you say he's not the best when you can have this actually happen?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I think the one person that doesn't deserve to be at the Super Bowl is Bruce Arians. I don't like him. And he even fully admitted to the world that he doesn't even do half the coaching. He does not deserve to be there.
Maybe Tom likes that, though. Maybe Tom's like, good.
Tom loves it. Yeah.
You don't need to coach. Like, you don't need to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's okay. And we don't give Tony Dungy or Jim Caldwell a hard time for not really coaching Peyton. I mean, we all just kind of accepted that Peyton was the offensive coordinator of.
Yeah, but it's Bruce Arians. That guy's he's different. He's
I know.
too openly lazy or something.
It seems, at least publicly, that Tom and him, if there was a rift, I mean, obviously winning will cover up most everything in this league.
Yeah.
So they seem like, I saw them right after they won the game getting the NFC Championship trophy and all that. They seem like best buddies,
Yeah.
loved each other,
Well, you know what's crazy too is Antonio Brown could potentially be a Super Bowl champion after, like, dude, just like
Not because
list
of him though.
list the highlighted events of the last 2 years with Antonio Brown, and you're telling me that, like, if you told me last year, did you know that Antonio Brown's going to go to the Super Bowl next year? Like, that guy wasn't even in the league, and no one was looking. That's crazy.
Either AB or Lev Bell is going to get a ring. One of the two for sure.
Yeah.
And it will not be, it will not be anyone on the Steelers currently. So
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so let's talk about the Bills-Chiefs game. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, they're, at least in my opinion, we've had some really good playoff games this year. And not to say that this was an awful game, but it felt like the most predictable watching it, the outcome of any game so far. I mean, you guys can talk more, but it just felt like the Bills were out of their depth. Like, they felt like they were outmatched, and for a lot of it, it felt like the Bills in their heart knew that they weren't as good as the Chiefs. I don't know.
That's what was just amazing to me. I mean, because we weren't like, there are people thinking like the Chiefs are definitely going to win, and all that, but I mean the Bills were no slouches. They were still 13-3 and were amazing. But the talent disparity, watching that game where it was like not even close. It wasn't even close.
Like there was
the Chiefs also beat them bad last in their regular season, but like the Chiefs were scoring at will, effortlessly. It was crazy.
Yeah. When you look on ESPN at a game, there's that little like percentage meter of like likelihood of winning, and then there's like the line that kind of hovers around the 50% mark, and then eventually it kind of zooms, and by the end of the game it's in the 90% tiles, and then they win. That game, if I had my own personal percentage meter, it started like the first second of the game, the Chiefs were already at a like 98.9% likelihood of winning. And I don't think it ever dipped below 90%. It's just, you can just tell when a team clearly has it in the bag far before they actually have it in the bag. And that's what that game was. But one thing that I just want to point out, kind of going off what you said, the Bills were good. The Bills were really good this year, and they were a dominant team, and everyone was talking about them and how well Josh Allen looked, how well their defense was, the connection between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Their defense was keeping them in games. It's scary that team, with that record, with those players, with that performance of the season, and then there's this team called the Chiefs that are like 3 tiers above them.
Yeah. You know what pisses me off watching the Chiefs, man? If any team could just find a way to stop Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill from getting yards whenever they want to, then they could stand a chance against the Chiefs. But apparently, it is impossible to stop usually either of them, but definitely both of them. Because, man, I can't tell you how many times in that game Travis Kelce just runs right into the middle of the field, turns around, gets the ball, runs for another 5 yards. Like, they just – I remember looking at the box score. I don't remember when I saw it. It was during the game. And it was like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce combined for like – it was close to like 30 targets and a combined like 200-plus yards. And that was like – literally their targets and receptions were like 10 times everyone else on the teams combined. Like, and Patrick Mahomes literally didn't need to go to anyone else. He's like, Tyreek Hill is always open. Travis Kelce will always catch it, and no one can stop them. So someone's going to have to find a way to stop those two guys, and then they might have like a fair chance, is what I'm saying. You don't win. Then it's like possible if you can find a way to slow those two players down. Because until you do, Travis Kelce will score whenever he wants. Because that's just Patrick Holmes goes to Travis Kelce, they get a first down. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Tyreek Hill got tired. I remember watching it, and he had that big long run, and I don't like he went off because of an injury, but really I think he was just like, he did like wind sprints like all game basically because he was just catching it and running and running and running. It was like a full like 2-a-day practice for him, like exhausted. That's like the only way you can stop him. Like hopefully he just gets too tired because that was the only way to get him off the field.
He runs more than most everyone on either team before the ball's even snapped, man. He'll motion back, then he'll motion back around, and then back across again, and then he runs down the field. It's stupid.
Well, he was putting on an absolute clinic for yards after the reception.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's the thing is, I was watching that game and I was like, yeah, this is just Tyreek Hill. He's fast. If he gets open enough to be able to catch the ball and turn around and decide where he wants to run, it's almost over because he is so quick. Just completely takes off. And guys are just, tailing behind, chasing after him, trying to clip his ankles. Here's another thing.
Yeah.
I really think that the Chiefs' offensive line, they do not get enough praise. One thing that makes everyone better, and especially Patrick Mahomes, look so good and so elite the way he does, is he has so much time and flexibility in the pocket. Like, especially this game, it felt like, dude, like, he could sit there for like 20, 30 seconds if he wanted to, and he'd probably still be able to get a good pass off. They're so good at controlling the pressure when they need to. It makes it a lot easier for him. It extends the plays for Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill to eventually get open. It's, the Chiefs' offensive line is no joke, and they do a really good job for Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like that was very apparent in this game.
Yeah, well, the Chiefs are dominant. They're just, they're a dominant team. It's like, they have their identity on offense. That's one of the biggest reasons why they're so successful. Their receivers, they don't necessarily have like, I would say the cleanest route runners or anything like that. What they have is they have speed, and not even Tyreek Hill. Like Nicole Hardman, that guy can run. They've had lots, even beyond their top guys, they're speed receivers because they know if they can just get behind the defense, there's almost nowhere where Patrick Mahomes can't put the ball for them. So they just have to get open, and things happen. And if that fails, Travis Kelce's always the fail-safe where you can dump the ball off to. So
he starts to field, and then he's wide open in the middle.
Exactly.
Always.
So it's hard to guard the Chiefs. I mean, you can hate them, but you can't take away from what they do, and they do it great.
I'll admit that I haven't been a big Tyreek Hill fan because I just see him as just mostly a speed receiver, and I always thought that was kind of gimmicky, but it really works in that offense. It's why I never considered him a top receiver. But to say that Mahomes and Tyreek Hill aren't one of the best wide receiver quarterback combos in the league would not be a fair assessment. You can't deny that connection is just crazy, and I've gained. He's finally, after all this, has finally gained my admiration and respect of being a more complete wide receiver than I used to give him credit for.
He works great. I would still kind of agree, I guess, with maybe your prior assessment. Like, Tyreek Hill is good at what he does. He runs faster than almost anyone. But like I said, I don't think he would work in a lot of systems. But he
Yeah.
definitely, you're right about one thing. That combination, Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, is perfect, and it's crazy.
On the other side of the ball, Romo was pointing this out in his commentary, just how much the defense was sticking to all the receivers, and like no one was open ever for the Bills. So it's not only just the offense, but that defense was playing lights out and not giving nothing to the Bills offense.
Stephon Diggs didn't have a great game. He had a harder time than usual, and he just couldn't get open.
And, I think the Bills, their one-dimensional offense really came back to bite them in this game. I mean, that was the one thing is everyone knew that they're not very good at running the ball, and they definitely still weren't very good at it this game. But the Chiefs played the pass. They knew that the Bills were going to have to beat them through the air to have any chance, and they didn't give them a chance to. They were covered up. So
whenever the Bills played play action, I'm like, what's the point of that? They know you're not running.
Yeah.
I was like, why you even bother doing taking the handoff? No one's tricked. No one believes you're actually going to hand the ball off.
One thing too that I was thinking about after just earlier today is if I were ever a quarterback coach, I would take the film of Josh Allen from that game and be like, this is why you never scramble to the backside of the pocket. Or how do I explain it? This is why you never, after you take your initial drop back, you never go that direction. Because he was tackled for a loss, trying to scramble and get away from linebackers. I bet the total yards that he lost from that was probably more than their rushing yards that game. And
that's still an issue with Josh Allen. When plays fall apart, they usually fall apart bad with Josh Allen.
Yeah. I mean, when plays start to fall apart, he's great at scrambling, getting out of the pocket. But whenever he goes that direction, it's always catastrophic. And that's for any quarterback. But I feel like Josh Allen does that a lot. And he did it a lot that game, and that did not help their cause.
One last thing that the Bills did that did not do them any favors, in my opinion, is they settled for field goals way too often.
Yeah.
I know at least on 2 drives where they either should have gone for it on 4th or tried to go for the touchdown rather than the field goal. And you just can't do that against the Chiefs. You can do that against some people, and it was clear at the end of the game, they needed more touchdowns to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. And a number of times, I remember Tony Romo one time. Were you guys watching the game where, they went for, there was 4th and 1 or 2, and it was 3rd down, and Tony's like, all right, they're going to run it with Josh Allen. That's what they do. And they didn't do that. And he's like, all right, well, now on 4th down, they got to do that. And then was it Jim Nantz is like, no, it looks like the field goal unit's going to kick it. And Tony's like, no, they're not. Really? And then it cuts to the field goal. Charlie was like, oh, what? I guess they are. It was so funny listening to Tony commentate on that. He's like, what? He genuinely couldn't believe it.
I love it when Tony's wrong. I love it when he's right, but when he's wrong, it's so funny because he's just like, what? He just knows that he has the biggest football brain out of anyone in the stadium.
He's so much fun to listen to because he's so much more genuine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
when they're playing the Browns and he's like, he just sealed the game, and then it was half a yard short, and he's like, or you almost sealed the game.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was fun.
That was funny. But yeah, like I said, I feel better. Like I said, I defend the Packers kicking it rather than going for it to some degree because that's a completely different game. If you're going against the Buccaneers, you have a hope of getting the ball back, yada, yada. Against the Chiefs, anytime you have a pretty good shot of getting a touchdown, I think you need to go for it every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another big thing that lost them the game.
Absolutely. But there's always next year,
Yeah,
right, Bills fans?
it's always next year.
The Bills, they have a lot to, be happy about. They had a great year, and this is huge improvement from where they were, just like lots of teams this year really turned things around. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
They do have a lot to look forward to.
But here we are, Super Bowl
55.
55, and we're
An
looking at
unstoppable force versus an immovable object.
Yep, yep. I don't know. What do you guys see? What are you guys expecting to see?
Here's my issue: is whenever you doubt Tom Brady, he will let you down or prove you wrong. So, I want to say, how can Tom Brady score enough points to beat the Chiefs? And I don't think the Buccaneers are completely out of this game because the Chiefs are missing 2 offensive linemen. Eric Fisher went down in the AFC Championship game. Not 100% sure if he's coming back. I haven't looked at the injury report on that, but and we saw what the defense was able to, the pass rush they were able to generate with just rushing 4 on Aaron Rodgers. So it's not like they don't have a chance defensively to at least slow down the Chiefs. They're not going to stop them, obviously. The Chiefs are still going to score 30 or 28 or something like that, at least minimum. But it's a question of now Tom Brady being able to keep up, and Tom Brady cannot turn the ball over. That's the key to the game. He cannot throw old man interceptions in this game if they want to win.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like Rodgers, in my opinion. It could be, but that's why I'm like I can't just, because watching the Chiefs, they look so much better than the Bucs in their respective championship games, but I can't just give it to them because the Bucs have the requisite defense, the sneaky, like we said, sneaky good defense that doesn't get the credit that they seemingly deserve, I guess. And when you got Tom Brady, it's on the other side, and no matter how many interceptions he throws, it's hard to doubt him. So, but I do like the Chiefs roundaboutly, just because of Brady old man turnovers, and that'd be for me the X factor or the difference of the game.
All right, so you're officially going Chiefs then?
Yeah. I'll go Chiefs.
I like everything about your argument. Everything you said is true. I'm just gonna derive a different result and pinpoint what you said, because you said it completely right. Whenever you doubt Tom Brady, he will prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the opposite. Whenever you think Tom Brady has in the bag, like maybe against the Eagles and Nick Foles, that's when he doesn't really shine his brightest. But no one is doubting Tom Brady more than when he's going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think this is maybe the biggest sort of perceived mismatch that Tom Brady has ever been in a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Since his first one.
So. Yeah,
the greatest
show on turf
Rams were the overdogs. The Patriots are actually the underdogs in that one, but the Chiefs are a much better team, a much better offense than that team. So this is by far the best team that Brady has ever faced in the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Yeah. And on paper, from my perspective, I definitely think Chiefs win in most every category. Again, the Buccaneers, they have this defense that's getting them through these games, but the Buccaneers defense didn't completely make Drew Brees throw the balls the way he did, and whatnot. But that being said, I'm just not gonna bet against Tom Brady this time. I'm not even gonna think too hard about it. Tom Brady is in the Super Bowl, and I think Tom Brady is going to win a Super Bowl. And here's the one thing I'll say. if I'm gonna say anything that's logical rather than just, you know, Tom
Tom
Brady.
Brady.
It's Tom Brady. The one thing I'll say is you're right. You just made a point. Like you can't. The Chiefs look so much more dominant than the Buccaneers did in their respective game. But going into it, we thought the Packers were the best and hottest offense in the league, even maybe above the Chiefs. And Aaron Rodgers was playing at a higher level even than Patrick Mahomes. And they somehow made Aaron Rodgers look like he was in fits. He was not playing his style of football. I'm not going to say that they can't do the same even to Patrick Mahomes, which is hard to say because I mean, in a big, like, high profile game, I don't think I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes look like he's truly struggling, you know? That not to say he has won every game he's ever played, but I don't think I've ever seen him like, wow, that's a bad game from Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? But I think somehow, some way, I'm gonna say the Buccaneers are gonna pull this off, and Tom Brady's gonna win. Gosh, I can't even keep track. Is this Super Bowl ring number 7
This
for
will be
him?
7,
Mhm.
and he will have more rings than any NFL franchise as a whole if he wins this.
Unbelievable. And the last thing I'll say, I am also rooting for Tom Brady to win, and this is hard for me to do.
Really, it's hard to root against the Chiefs. For
Yeah,
you.
It's hard.
like this is wishful thinking, I think, Parker. For you
Yeah,
thinking-
that's.
It has
I said
nothing
some
to
of
do.
that.
Nothing hard about rooting against the Chiefs. It's hard to root for Tom Brady
Oh, okay.
if
No,
you're me.
I am excited to watch both. Like I've become a Brady fan, not a super fan. It's more like I don't even want to say fan. I want to say I don't hate him anymore. And I
Admirer,
think it'd be
maybe.
cool to see him win 7 and just be like, wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. And so I don't know actually who I'm rooting for because I really enjoy watching the Chiefs. I really like Patrick Mahomes and I like that offense. But you know, it's hard not to root for an old man that's just like, I'm still proving it. I don't care that I'm already the GOAT. I'm gonna become GOATer. Like
Yeah. You know,
goat
I
test.
guess to me, if taking away the obvious bias of a division rival and former just rival of the Broncos and Tom Brady in the AFC, I guess it's just for me. It comes down to I would rather see the Tom Brady dynasty go out winning because we know no matter what, it can't last that much longer, right? Like it's not possible. No one knows what's possible anymore, but
If he's gonna play like he did in the NFC Championship game, he's gonna just look like Jameis Winston. And so
Seriously.
he's gonna
exactly.
go 30
But
for 30, and that's when he's gonna have to retire.
well, I'd rather see that dynasty go out and win out than I don't want to see the up and coming dynasty that everyone knows is the new terror of the league. That's what I'm more afraid of is the new Kings, and I would rather see the old one win.
You know, honestly, that's kind of what this game is for Tom Brady. It's a kind of a chance for him to steal a little bit of heat from his successor. Because I think if anyone's going to get close to the 7 rings or the dominant dynasty, it's Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. So this is a chance for Tom Brady to walk into the Super Bowl and personally take away 1 ring from Patrick, make it a little bit harder for him to catch up. So here's the deal. I was thinking about it, and the outcomes or the possible Super Bowls that could have happened were Bills Packers, Bills Bucks, Chiefs Packers, Chiefs Bucks. All those matchups, I think I was honestly least excited for the one we got, which is Chiefs Bucks.
Yeah, me too.
Because it
Yeah, me
just
too.
at face value, it seems like the biggest landslide. You know, it seems really in favor of the Chiefs, and I think it still is. But then when you actually think about it, it's like, the Buccaneers actually have a ton of good players on their team.
They do.
They have a lot of old, seasoned, good players that have been in the playoffs a lot, have a lot of experience, but are still good. And really, the record, because I think everyone thought, oh man, the Bucks, early on in the season, the Bucks were looking good. And then, it kind of fizzled out for a few weeks. They had some really undisciplined games, and there's a little bit of drama between Tom and Bruce and stuff like that. And I think that really fizzled the hype for it. But if you think about it, they were in every game, and the games they lost, well, I guess besides one, they weren't really in. But the games they lost, it wasn't so much that there was a better team than them. It was more there was a better disciplined team that week, a more prepared team. But as far as the players and the skill and the potential those players bring, as a cohesive group, it's actually probably going to be a really good game. I think, now thinking about that, I think the Bucks have just as good a chance of any of the other potential opponents. Well, I guess the Packers did. I mean, the Packers are obviously dominant, but they have their weak spots too, and everyone can be exposed, kind of thing. But I don't know. It's definitely an interesting one. I see Parker's argument where Tom Brady is Tom Brady. The Saints are the Saints, the Packers are the Packers, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. But I also understand Austin's argument where the Chiefs are near unstoppable. So for me, I think I'll be happy for whoever wins. I really hate Bruce Arians. I really, really like Andy Reid. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I've never considered myself a Tom Brady fan. I always resented him just because he was so good. But I kind of am like, I would rather see him win it one more time than the new dynasty win it two in a row. Because, Tom Brady is going to retire soon. And then Patrick Mahomes is going to have his way with the league and he's going to win games. He's going to get rings. I'd like to see the old GOAT get at least one more. So I think what I'll say is I think the Chiefs should win, but I think I want the Bucks to win.
Yeah, I almost want to change my answer, but I'll stick with it just for fun. But Brady, like, he can't let anybody have anything, right? Peyton got his walk out in the sunset, and he's like, if he's got one, I want one too. Like, like I want to win. I want to go out, and he's got to stick it to everybody, and it'd be cool to see the old guard go out on top, and then and let the young ones compete against each other after that. Yeah, it would be cool to see. I don't know who I'm rooting for because honestly, I really don't care about either one of those teams. So, and
Yeah.
I think they're both a fun story. So,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna enjoy the game, and and I'll be happy either way. But I'll stick with my Chiefs answer, even though I'm really tempted to just not doubt Brady and him getting his final say. And he'll probably even play another season. It won't even be his sunset. He'll probably go win back to back with the Bucks or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. But either way, it's going to be a fun game. I'm really excited to see it.
Let me ask you this. What do you think? I think Tom, regardless of whether he wins or loses the Super Bowl, is playing next year. Maybe another year after that. Maybe. What do you think Tom does when he retires? Is he going to stay involved in football? I think he should be a coach. I mean, he's obviously proved he can play and coach at the same time. I would love I think Tom at this point, well, he's earned, I've always had respect for him. But if he wins this game, I think will have more of my respect than almost any other player that's ever played football. But I would like to see him be a head coach one day.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say no as well.
I
Person.
The thing about quarterbacks like Brady, but Brady's an anomaly, so you can't really predict him. I don't know, but quarterbacks that have won multiple Super Bowls and were considered elite during their day usually don't coach.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel
like it's reserved for backup quarterbacks coach.
yeah,
And star quarterbacks just don't tarnish their legacy and just be remembered as a great player and don't bother becoming a coach. I mean, some become general managers. John Elway is one that I think comes to mind. Became a GM, but he's never coached. And sometimes you're just that talented. It's hard to tell other players just be like, well, just do it right, just do it good because it was easy. But Brady's a little bit different too because he really did really work hard because he did not have the natural talent. But I mean, if I'm Tom Brady, once you just walk away from football, you've proved everything as a player. Might as well do some. If you want to stay in football, do at least broadcasting. But I wouldn't be on the sideline if I was him.
Honestly, to me, it's just Tom Brady, in the eyes of almost everyone, will go down as the greatest of all time to ever play football. So there's no reason to be the greatest player of all time and then come back and be a meh head coach. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because it's
That's a good
really
point.
unlikely you're going to come back and be the greatest coach of all time too. Like that. Not even Tom's that lucky. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe that's
I
what
don't
he'll
know,
do,
man.
and
If
like it'll
anyone
just
were to
be
do it, it would probably be him.
is. But it's just like Austin said. Like you've cemented your legacy. Like you've nothing else to prove at all. There's really nothing more you can hardly even add to your perfect stature by coming back to the game. And dude, Tom Brady, but you're right. He's an anomaly. We've never seen anything like him. Never seen anyone play this long, win this much. I was just thinking, you know what? Tom Brady literally changes that iconic quote. From Dark Knight, they say you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Brady has abridged it. It's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain, or you live long enough as a villain to see yourself become a hero again. And that's literally what Tom is doing
Die
right
a villain
now.
or live long enough to be a hero. Yeah.
He's come back and because it's true. Like I feel like everyone, and part of it's he's not a patriot, but there's definitely more of a sentiment of respect for Tom than just everyone hates him. Like maybe there's more of that air when they're on the Patriots, but yeah. But as
We'll
far
miss
as
him when he's gone. We'll romanticize Brady even more than we do right now once he's a past player. Like, because we love romanticizing about the past, fantasizing and making it sound a lot better than it was. Like, if Brady is giving you the admiration now, 20 years from now, it's going to be crazy how much we'll look back and really miss the Brady days, even though we all hated him.
And even though we all
gonna miss
knew
it.
he never looked like Patrick Mahomes
Yeah.
or Aaron Rodgers at their primes. Like that's never been what Tom Brady's looked like. And
Yeah.
but he's the greatest still. Doesn't matter. And yeah, like I said, I don't think he needs to be a coach. He doesn't need to be a GM. He can just live the rest of his life knowing I'm the best ever to ever live, past or present.
Maybe he can coach his son's high school football team.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Something like that. That's fine. I mean, Montana has done nothing. Montana, he won his 4 rings and was the greatest until other people came, and he hasn't done jack.
Yeah,
and
Peyton,
I think a lot.
Peyton just makes commercials.
Yeah, he just makes commercials and does his Peyton's places and goofs off with fast players. He doesn't analyze the game or anything for anybody. He's just out there having fun, just being himself. And,
yeah, it's
I can
deserved.
see Tom being that way.
It's deserved.
It feels like
the go golfing with Michael Jordan and trying to prove they're going to be who's the GOAT at golf between the two GOATs of their respective sports. I bet that would be some really fun golf games with Michael Jordan and
exactly.
Tom Brady.
You're right though. It seems like it's the players that either for one reason or another didn't hit the potential that they thought they could. They were backups or just didn't get enough of the game while they were in it that they want to stay around the game. Tony Romo in broadcasting is a great example, and lots of other, players like that, I feel like are more likely to, at least.
Yep. Well,
All right. So Buccaneers for me. Buccaneers. Did you say Buccaneers, Thomas?
I'm gonna say Buccaneers.
And
I
then
want to so bad, but I'm gonna go Chiefs just to be different. I'll be
So
wrong
at least
again.
one of us is
I'll be
right. At least
This'll
one
be
of us
like-
in the end was right.
yeah, divisional
yeah.
round. It'll probably be the same story where I just but I mean, you can't go wrong with either team. It's not like I'm picking an underdog. I don't see how either team is an underdog. They're both fantastic teams with crazy weapons. Like I don't think we talk enough about how many weapons Brady has with Evans, Godwin,
Mike
AB.
Evans. Yeah.
He's got two
Leonard
great
Fournette.
running backs. Brait has been a great tight end for them. He's got
Gronk has been better. Gronk
Yeah.
has looked better than I thought he would this year.
Yeah. So I mean, Chiefs got the weapons, but so do the Buccaneers. I think it's silly to consider either one of them an underdog, but
Mhm.
I'm going to go Chiefs. Why not? They go back.
Can't knock you for picking that. No way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Leaguecast. We now know the Super Bowl and who's going to be there. We will still have a podcast next week, and we'll talk more about the Super Bowl and NFL news. Please follow, subscribe, comment, like, comment, do anything you want to help support us. It's awesome. You guys are awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Later.